Hey, Zach Tyler here. This is video number 8 in my free course on how to build passive income streams using WordPress. To watch all of the training videos in the correct order, you can find all of them for free on my website at zylercade.com/free-training. Enjoy. Please note, some sections of the original course content have been modified or removed in order to make this content relevant and up to date for 2024. All right, guys, welcome to the idea generation module, or what I like to call the brainstorming phase. This is probably my favorite part of this entire thing, mostly because not only will you realize, especially if you pick a niche that you're actually interested in, that you have experience in, that you like to do, it becomes really fun when you start coming up with different content ideas. I know for me, when I first started doing this, one of the biggest objections I had before I started was I used to tell myself like, oh, I don't know enough about whatever topic to be able to help other people or to be effective or to make money with. But what you will find is once you start going through the idea generation, you will realize that you actually know a lot more about a topic just from going kind of through the motions of trying to come up with content ideas by following a specific process. You will start to, as you come up with one idea or you get an idea for something based off of another piece of content, it will actually start to, the more you do it, the more you will start to just come up with ideas on your own as you're writing out other ideas. So this is, in my opinion, the most important aspect and the most fun part of this entire process, because without coming up with content ideas, well, then you can't create content. And like I said, if it's your niche is something that you love, that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, that you already have experience in, it becomes fun to create content about the thing that you love. So in this video, we are going to cover a couple different matrices, or I always want to say matrices. The proper word is matrices for multiple matrix. So the fillable PDFs that you can download in the resources section. We have the idea development matrix and then the ASQ, TSS, or pillar matrix, which we'll get into. We're going to cover market research, so how you can start to get ideas from looking on other external sources, and then a couple of online tools that you can also use. Please note, this video was recorded before I began heavily using ChatGPT for ideas and brainstorming. You can technically use ChatGPT to do a lot of this. However, the methods in this video are still very practical and can help you think on a more personal level and outside the box, rather than the more generic content that may be suggested or generated by ChatGPT or other AI tools. So these two matrices are the idea development matrix and the brainstorming matrix, aka the ASQ TSS pillar matrix, so I'll kind of use that interchangeably. And these are two PDFs that you can access. Personally, I like to print them, like I have mine printed right here. I personally like to write stuff out. It helps me think better. I can think clearer when I'm using like a pen and paper versus typing it out. But you don't have to. There is both printable versions and there will be a link for a fillable version that you can save to your own Google Drive and then just fill it out on your computer if you want to. But these are going to be the two main matrices we're going to use for idea development and idea generation to get ideas of what kind of content that we're going to make. So first one we're going to look at is the idea development matrix, which is what I have right here. Now on the top section, what you'll see is we have areas for our main niche and then we have areas for our sub niches. Now the way I have it set up by default is two separate sections. You don't have to have two separate main niches. You can just use the same one in both, or you can consider both the same. Like you'll notice in this one that I have right here, it's the one that you guys are looking at, so it's got two separate sections. But then if you actually look at the one that I have online, which is right here, you'll notice that I took the two individual main niches and just combined them into one, and then put all of my sub niches all the same color. So really you can do it however you want to. That's how I'm going to be doing it for this example website. But if you look at my one that I have for specifically for Apex House, I do keep it separate because my two main niches are entrepreneurship and personal development. So that is the two individual sections I have here. And then each of this, I have two sub niches in each box. So technically this one has 8 and this one actually has 10 over here because there's 5. Not super important, it's just, and you don't have to fill them all out. It's just to give you a place to start, a place to kind of get your creative juices flowing. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to, like I said, you can either print this out or you can just use the fillable version that is going to be available on the Google Drive. And you're going to want to come up in here and whatever main niche you've decided, you will put that in this main niche section. And then you're going to want to put in your sub niches. Hopefully, depending on what main niche you chose, hopefully you know some sub niches already. If you don't, we will go over how you can figure those out. So for example, this example website that I'm building right now for this course is about prepping and survival. So that's going to be my main niche. And then some sub niches of that are emergency and disaster preparedness, food storage and preservation, first aid and medical skills, self-defense and personal security, water collection and purification, fire starting, shelter building, and I put foraging and wild edibles as one, and then hunting and trapping. So technically you've got the hunting and trapping would be like live animals, obviously, and then foraging and wild edibles is going to be like plant-based food. So I just put both of those under the same one instead of putting them in two separates. Now over here on the left-hand side is the different categories of types of content that you can make. And this is not a hard and fast, like you don't have to stick to these. If you want to take some of these out and put other options in, that's totally fine, up to you, whatever works best for you. But just the examples that I have here are mistakes, myths, tips or lists, inspiration, objections, lessons learned or transformation stories, a belief shift, how to fill in the blank for beginners, fill in the blank tutorial or step-by-step, struggles, insider knowledge, curiosity gaps, and curating resources. Which curating resources to me can kind of be the same thing as like tips and lists. And so how you're going to use this is, again, I like to print mine out and I will use like each one for like a week. So I will say, okay, what kind of content do I want to focus on this week? And you can literally just, start an emergency disaster preparedness and go all the way down, or you could start in mistakes and just go across every week, right? Or you can be completely sporadic and just do it however you want to. Like this week, I'm feeling like tips and lists of first aid and medical skills, right? And I could just focus on that for this week. Totally up to you how you want to do it. Again, this is just to get your creative juices flowing. So for an example, just to show you how I'm going to use this, let's say I'm going to start in just the top left corner, right? So top left corner is emergency and disaster preparedness. And then on the left, we have mistakes. So now I'm going to start asking myself, okay, mistakes related to emergency and disaster preparedness. What kind of content could I create with this? So now the first thing that I think of is like, okay, what are all of the possible emergencies and disasters that could happen, right? You have earthquakes, you have tornadoes, you have fires, whether it's a building fire or a forest fire, environmental fire. We have flooding, unfortunately, active shooter, right? You have all of these different types of emergencies and types of disasters. A house fire versus like an apartment building fire are going to be two different types of fires. And you got to think, maybe you're not necessarily going to be in it, but somebody else who lives in a different part of the country or a different part of the world, this type of information might help them. So now that is where our next tracker comes into place, our next matrix. And that is going to be what is called the brainstorming matrix, or I call it, the ASQ TSS pillar matrix. And so this is where we're going to start writing down all of those questions or those topics of content that we can make, right? And the reason why, so we have pillars, we have ASQ and TSS, which stands for answer specific questions or teach specific skills or teach specific steps. So just going back to my example, prepping and survival, right? So let's say emergency and disaster preparedness and mistakes. So I could come in here and say, okay, so our focus topic is emergency and disaster preparedness. I spelled that wrong, that's fine. Right? Okay. And now I'm going to think of okay, what types of disasters or emergencies would there be? I'm thinking flooding, right? So let's just start with flooding. I could say, and again, going back to what are we doing? We're doing mistakes. So Here I would do, number mistakes people make when preparing for a flood, right? And there's that. And then I can go about this multiple ways. So now what I could do is technically I could take this and just reword it for preparing for an earthquake. Right? So then there's that. And then I can do the same thing for a fire, right? And so I can fill in all of these different emergencies or disasters, right? Or I could go the opposite way and I could just focus on flooding. So I could say, okay, number of mistakes people make when preparing for a flood. Mistakes people make, or number of items people don't pack, or when preparing for a flood. Number of which items you should pack for a flood. And I can start, thinking of just flood specific things and go ahead and fill in all of these blanks. Now, answer specific questions or teach specific steps. These are like, number steps to get family to safety after a flood, right? And like the steps that you should go through to get from point A to point B after you've been stuck in a flood, right? So honestly, at the end of the day, what you put in any of these really doesn't matter. Does it have to be a specific question or does it have to be teaching specific steps? No. Whatever comes to mind from a helpful perspective can be what you put in there. I just have these separated from like pillar 1 and pillar 2, and then ASQ, TSS, and then TT. TT stands for Twitter thread. Sometimes, at least for me, I will, depending on in my brain, like if I'm like, oh, this is going to be a blog article, my brain will immediately go to like this style of content or this question or these style of questions, right? And then if I think of like a Twitter thread, my brain thinks of it in a different way. So when I'm filling these out, the only reason I have pillars versus ASQ, TSS versus Twitter threads is just to get my brain to think in different ways. So for a pillar content to me is like overarching broad, right? So instead of, teaching specific steps or answering specific questions, for pillar content, I would just say like everything you need to know to prepare for a flood, right? Or everything you need to know to escape an earthquake, or like facts you need to know, right? So it's like more of a general thing. So my brain thinks of it from like a broader perspective. Then when I go to the ASQ, TSS, I'm thinking like, oh, answer specific questions. Like a specific question somebody might have is like, what do I do during an active shooter, right? So it's like, what to do during an active shooter situation. And then teaching specific steps might be how to, build an emergency kit for floods step by step. Right, and then that piece of content might include like get a backpack, get this type of material, get these tools, get this first aid stuff, like make sure you have this for clean water, make sure you have a plan, like how to, that could be another one. See, and so as you start like thinking about, oh, what am I going to put in this content, immediately then one of my next thoughts was just like emergency action plans. That's a super important thing. I know from my military experience, that's something that we often talk about, is you always want to have a contingency plan, an emergency action plan. So another piece of content that I could create is like how to create an emergency action plan. And so now you will literally just go through this. And let's say, you've come up with a bunch. You're like, okay, I can't think of any more. That's totally fine. You don't have to fill this entire thing out. This is just for you to kind of start getting some stuff on paper for you to get ideas of what kind of content you're going to make. But in addition to that, you don't have to stay in just the mistake section. Like let's say you came up with, a bunch of options for mistakes. Now you can go to tips and lists, right? You can go to inspiration. You can go to how to fill in the blank, or blank for beginners, right? So you don't have to just focus on mistakes. You can do any of these, as many as you want. It's not like there's no hard and fast rule saying that, oh, this entire page right here can only be about mistakes for emergency and disaster preparedness. Now, it's very possible that you will fill up this entire page just on that one topic, and that's great, but it is not a hard and fast rule. And that's why I have actually both of these separate sections. So you've got this area right here, which is kind of like 1, and then you've got this area here, which is kind of like 2. So you can do, one section up here, one section down here, or you can make the entire thing all focused on one topic. And it's completely up to you. So that is how we are going to use both of these matrices. Now, the first one, the idea development matrix, is really for you to just kind of come up with ideas on your own. Hopefully you have chosen a niche, like I mentioned, something that you are already interested in, something that you're already passionate about, something that you already have some basic level of knowledge about, which should help you be able to come up with these things. I mean, my mom, when she was doing this process, she loves scrapbooking, right? So like for her main niche is like arts and crafts. Her kind of sub niche is specifically scrapbooking. But then her sub niches below that were like different types of paper, different types of designs, different types of material, different decorations, different color patterns, and pictures and graphics and all of these different things, right? So for her, it might have been like 7 mistakes people make when, choosing a color pattern. Lists, like you've got tips and lists. 7 pieces of equipment or tools that you need to start your scrapbooking career, right? Like whatever it is. So she already knows about that stuff, so it was easy for her to kind of like start developing these things. But for those of you that either you're like, oh, I don't know what sub niches there are for my main niche or like struggle to come up with content ideas, that is okay, because we are now going to cover, if you can't come up with them on your own, how you can do what's called a market research to just get ideas from other places, from external places. So there are a few different options that we have for doing market research. The first that I like to use is YouTube most viewed videos, and we'll go over that. The next way that I like to check is Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok comments via hashtag searching. You can also check out other blogs. And then there are some online tools that we are also going to cover. So first thing that we're going to check, or that I'm going to show you guys, is the YouTube most viewed. So the first thing you want to do is we're going to open up YouTube, and I'm going to open it up in an incognito tab. And the reason why I open up YouTube in an incognito tab is, one, so that it doesn't log me in, but more importantly, it shows me YouTube from a fresh slate, meaning my search history is not in there, the videos that I've watched or other things that I've searched for are not in there, your cookies are not in there when you use an incognito tab. Well, it's incognito for Google Chrome. If you're using Firefox, it's like a private tab, I think. But the point is, you want to look at YouTube from a blank slate. That way it's not showing you predetermined videos. So because my niche is, like I said, survival and prepping, literally I'm just going to come into the search bar and search that, right? So survival and prepping. So we have, okay, get this winter survival and prepping gear, extreme prep edition, prep now or forever hold your peace, debt ceiling. Let's see. First thing I'm going to do is up at the top, I'm going to do filters. I'm going to do this year, and then we're also going to do view count. So these two things are going to show us the most viewed videos for this year. So now that we've done that, I've done survival and prepping. And actually, no, I'm going to go even further down. So this is very generic, right? Like this is my main niche, whereas I want to search for my sub-niches. So going back to my idea development matrix, my sub-niches are emergency and disaster preparedness, food storage and preservation, first aid and medical skills. So I'm going to do food storage and preservation. Actually, I'm going to do water collection and purification, because that's super important. Actually, the most important thing, if you're ever in an emergency situation, water is number one. Your body, you can survive longer without food than you can with water. It's water, followed by shelter, followed by food. So those are the three, the order of operations that you need to focus on. Please excuse the quick interruption. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're finding this video helpful so far, please hit the like button and subscribe for more helpful content like this. And if you are enjoying this content, then you will love my free community. Lazy Worker University is a free membership-based community dedicated to helping you unlock your potential by teaching you various digital skills and passive income strategies. Some of the things that you'll find inside include monthly group coaching calls, comprehensive courses, community connections with other like-minded entrepreneurs, networking opportunities, and so much more. You can join for free by visiting zylercade.com/LWU or by using the link in the description below. Additionally, if you would like to learn how to automate this entire process even more, then you're definitely going to want to check out my free content creation automation workshop, which you can find at zylercade.com. Now, back to the training. So I'm going to do water storage prepping. It's because that showed up, right? So, and actually, no, I'm not even going to do storage because it's one thing if you can store it, but it's another thing for purification. So prepping water purification. Good. So let's search for that. So this is 1 year ago, 412,000 views, 10 ways to clean drinking water after disaster. And right now what I'm looking for is I'm not looking for the video specifically so much. I'm looking for a channel that is based around my same topic, right? So this one's called Canadian Prepper. So I'm going to open that up in a new tab and see what they are. So this one is all about prepping, right? Preparedness, 914,000 subscribers. So clearly it's a good channel. They have a lot of subscribers. And they've got clearly a lot of views. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come to their videos and I am going to click popular. And this is going to show me the most popular videos, the most viewed videos on this channel. And so just looking at these top things, this right here can give me tons of ideas of content that I can create. Now, whether I want to create the exact same content, right? So if I want to make a video about, or make content about toilet paper tablets, the best tent for the apocalypse, survival gear items, survival kit and bug out bag, winter survival, survival items. So again, it's a lot of winter and a lot of items. So we've got like a laser pointer one, another bug out bag, a survival tool specifically, which looks like it has something to do with fire. So just looking through this list, again, I will go through this list and write down anything on here that either I already know about, I already have education about, and want to create my own content around it, or even something that I'm interested in. Like I might not necessarily know any of this information yet, but I want to know about it, and therefore I can go research about it and then create my own content based on the information that I find. So this is going to be the first way that you can go find other content to recreate and make your own, because it's already proven, just you can look at the views, it's already proven, you know, that it's good types of content. I mean, if over 1 million people are watching these videos, even a couple 100,000, right, are still going to be great types of videos to create. And you can do this over and over and over again, right? Like this is just one channel, one example. This one right here, ethical preparedness, is another one. So I'm going to go check this out. Only 138,000 versus like the 900 we were just at. But still, same thing. I can go to videos, I can go to popular, and again, a couple million views here, a couple 100,000. So even these, I can go through these and be like, oh, this is a video that I can make a piece of content about this. I can make a piece of content about that. You know, self-defense. That's, you know, one that is one of my sub niches. Let's say food poisoning. So like I can make something about food poisoning. From a prepper's perspective, you know, there might be really helpful information on here for me to go through. And the next way for us to be able to find content ideas is just going through social media and using hashtag searches. So whether that's going to be through Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, really you're just going to go on the social media platform, search for keywords or search for hashtags related to your niche, and either A, look at the types of videos that are being made, or look at the comments of popular videos. So for that, I'm literally just going to, so I'm going to open up my phone and I am going to go ahead and jump on, let me turn on my screen recorder, and I'm going to go ahead and go into my Instagram and go to search, and I'm just going to search for prepping. And so we have just some of the suggestions. We have survival prepping, Actually, let me look for survival. Survival. So we have survival hacks, survival gear, survival tips, and survival. So I could just do survival, and honestly, you could do all of these. So I could start a survival, see what pops up, then maybe do survival hacks, and maybe survival gear, survival tips. So I'll go to survival hacks just to see what comes up. And we want to look at the top, right? So just looking at this top, there are some videos in here, some reels. And here's one thing that is about water. We've got another one about igniting using a battery and a gum wrapper, right? So maybe this is something I can turn in. And so again, I'm just going to take these and I'm going to write these down. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I can make a piece of content that shows how to make a fire using a gum wrapper and a battery. Literally I can keep scrolling. Water purification hack, prepping finds at the Dollar Tree. Okay, so I watch this video and be like, oh, what kind of ideas do I get from this? So literally there are a million ways for you to get ideas. And you might watch something and maybe you're not going to make that particular content, but maybe it sparks an idea of something else that you can make. Same thing with YouTube. You can, search for the videos, check the comments, see what people are asking in the comments if people are asking for help on additional things. Same thing what we just did with Instagram, you can do with TikTok. And then last way is you can go search for other blogs. Coming back to an incognito tab, the other thing I can do is literally just use that keyword and then type in blog after it. So prepping and survival blog. Let's see what comes up. So we have survival blog. I have SHTF, which stands for Shit Hits the Fan, in case you didn't know that. ModernSurvivalBlog.com, Paired.com, the Prepper Journal, which I've actually used before. Well, I think they got bought out because the Prepper's Journal used to be really good and it's not super great anymore. But again, I can just come through these blogs, what blog posts they have, right? And again, as I read their blogs or go through their blog list to see what they have, I can be like, oh, I know about this, or this is something I want to write about, right? Like the best tactical walking sticks, easy campfire beef noodle skillet recipe, how to set up an emergency hand pump for a well, bugging out. And actually, and you notice, so I like this website because this shows you just as an example of when we were doing the web design with the choosing which theme to use. Notice how this one, they've got their latest posts right here, and then they've got subsections. So food and water, so all their food and water posts are right here. Shooting is right here. Bugging out is right here, right? So, and then over here on this right-hand side, perfect example, they have these ads. So this is how this blog in particular is making money. They've got these ads, whether they are Google ads or whether they're affiliate ads. And I know that the reason why I know they're affiliate ads is if you look on this bottom left-hand side down here where it shows the link, it says clickbank.net. So that we will eventually, I'm going to show you guys ClickBank when we get to the monetization section. But that is how they are making money, is they are using affiliate links. So these are all affiliate links just with a graphic on the right-hand side, right? And then I bet you if I go out into to this blog post right here, they probably have affiliate links in here. So they've got ads right here. They've got, let's see, so this right here, this is an Amazon affiliate link. This is a Google ad. Then they've got this right here, which is, so this onewindoutdoors.com. They must have an affiliate program because there's a reference on there, so that's an affiliate link. So literally, this person is doing exactly what this course is teaching, is build a website, create content for it, put affiliate links and stuff in there, and then we'll also, again, get to the point of recreating all of this content, repurposing all of this content in order to put it on other social media platforms to get traffic to your website, because that's the entire point. You want to get traffic to your website where all of your affiliate links are. I'm going to come through this website, I'm going to look at what blog posts they have and see what type of content I can make that is either similar, is helpful, is related, stuff like that. So close that out, come look through the different blogs. It's instead of doing survival and prepping, you could do, camping blogs. Or if you, are doing woodworking, right? Woodworking blogs. If you're doing, I don't want to say wine tasting, scrapbooking, right? Scrapbooking blogs. Whatever niche it is that you are doing, pet care blogs, parenting blogs, anything that you can think of for your niche. Just go to Google, type in that, your keyword, blog, and then come look at what other type of content is being created. And so lastly, if all else fails, you've done all the other things, you're like still can't come up with any ideas. Although if you can't come up with any ideas after doing all of that, let me know. And let me know in the Discord if you've tried doing all that and you're still like, I don't know what to come up with, because maybe you're just like looking at it wrong, not sure. Because I feel like after doing all of that, you should be able to come up with plenty of blog ideas, especially if it is, again, something that you know that you already have experience in, stuff like that. So the last two things that you can do, if all else fails, is use a few online tools. So we're going to talk about two tools. The first one is Answer the Public, and the last one is ChatGPT. Now, Answer the Public, so it's going to be answerthepublic.com. So again, I'm just going to go to an incognito tab. So answerthepublic.com. And what this website does is it basically shows you all of the questions, the most common questions people are asking about any given topic. So it is, if you are not signed in, you can make 2 searches per day for free. If you create one of their free accounts, it gives you an extra one per day. So if you make a free account, then you can do up to 3 searches per day. And then after that, you do have to upgrade to their pro account. But honestly, I've never paid for this. I don't pay for this. I think 3 searches a day is plenty, especially because it gives you like a million, different questions per search. So for example, I am going to use, let me just go back to my one. So we'll say shelter, building, and camping. So I'm going to go back to here and I'll do shelters survival and click search. And so now what it's going to do is it's going to show me, I don't remember what the specific timeline, how far back it goes, or like what the search, I think it's 12 months, so like the last 12 months. So what it does is based on those 2 keywords, so shelters and survival, first it will give you this visual display, which, the dark orange is highly searched, this like weird medium is average, and then the light is lowest search. Those are displayed right here, right? So like the most search questions will be in these dark oranges, but honestly, any of these will work. So I personally, the visual is good because it shows you that like the most asked versus the least asked. But then they're also broken down to this like what, which, when, how, where, will, are, why. Like these are the main keywords for the question, like can. I personally don't like the visualization one. I like the data one. So I'll just select data and look to see what's in here, right? So how long can you survive without a shelter, right? That's it. There, right there. How long can you survive without a shelter? That would be a great piece of content for me to make. So these are talking about shelters for like animals, not so much shelters. Again, so it's mixing like animal shelters with survival. So survival shelter ideas location. So there's one that I could use. Survival shelter ideas. Is shelter necessary for survival? Types of shelters for survival. So that's a good one. Let me see why is shelter important for survival? So that's it. I can make an entire thing about just why shelter is important. So then it also breaks it down from, right? So this one broke it down as questions. But then it has this next section, which is prepositions, right? And so again, I'll just go to data, shelter for survival shelters in the wilderness, right? So I might look at that versus like survival shelters with a fireplace. So like how to make a survival shelter with a fireplace versus just in the wilderness. Survival shelters for cold weather, right? So I can make different content based on whether you're in a different environment. So cold weather versus hot weather, desert versus forest, urban versus, city. So all of these, and again, this is like, I'm literally just spinning these off as I'm reading them because I'm like, oh, well, cold weather, that's one type of environment, but like what is other types of environments? So here we've got survival shelter in the desert, wilderness, same thing, like that's kind of what I was just saying. And then it's got comparisons. So this tool will give you a lot of ideas, again, for content that you can make. So I suggest just making a free account, and there you go. Between those 3 searches a day, maybe make sure you decide on which keywords you want to search for before you do it, because obviously it would, you don't want to waste your searches. But literally just from this one search, that was like what, 10, 15 different pieces of content that I can make, all specific to my niche. And then the last piece is, the last tool that we're going to cover is called ChatGPT. Now, many of you have probably heard of ChatGPT by now. It is a brand new tool. I actually don't even know if we're going to be able to use it right now because it just came out a few months ago, but it has gotten so popular so fast that their servers have actually been getting overwhelmed. And so it's going to be chat.openai.com. So hopefully, fingers crossed, during this video it lets it. No, of course, it's at capacity right now, so it's not going to let me do it. I'm just going to sit here for a minute and kind of tell what it is, and then I'm going to refresh it, and hopefully we can get in there. But basically what ChatGPT is, and I have a full video about it on my YouTube channel, so if we can't get into it here, I'll just cut a piece of that video out and put it in here just for time's sake. But what ChatGPT is it's artificial intelligence, or AI, and you basically can ask it anything you could possibly think of, and it will write it for you. And this is one of the tools I was going to suggest, that if you can't think of like what sub niches fall under your main niche, you can literally go in and be like, what are the top 20 sub niches of the food and cooking niche? And it will just spit them out for you. Actually, and honestly, that is what I did for this. So I literally went on to here and I said, what are the top 20 prepping and survival, or what are the top 20 sub niches for the prepping and survival niche? And it gave me out 20, and out of those 20, I picked 10 or 8, however many this is. I picked 8 that I was like interested in creating content around. I didn't even use all 20, right? You can use all 20 if you want to, but these 8 that I have right here were all given to me by ChatGPT. So you can come on here and literally ask it, what are 20 blog article ideas that I could write for emergency and disaster preparedness, right? And then it will spit out 20 blog ideas. Or you can say, what are the top 20, 30, 40, whatever number you want to put in there, what are the most common questions asked about food storage and preservation as it relates to prepping and survival? So, the power of this tool, and the reason why I bring it up last is because it's, like I said, it's gotten so popular that often I'm now coming to it. I try to come to it several times a day because I use it for a lot of stuff, but it's at capacity. And so if it's at capacity, there's nothing we can do. You can't use it if, you can't use it. So that's why I bring it up last, because I don't want this to be the default that people go to, because if we run into situations like this where it's at capacity and you can't use it, well, I don't want you to be like, oh, well, nothing I can do at the moment. I want you to be able to have those other tools available to be able to come up with your content ideas. Use this when you can. If you can, it is an incredible tool. Literally, if you just go on like YouTube right now and just Google like ChatGPT, you will be blown away by how much, not Google, on YouTube, and search ChatGPT, you will be blown away by the amount of stuff that you can do with it. Literally, you can use ChatGPT to do everything that we have covered in this from start to finish. It can create all of your content for you if you wanted it to. It can, design your sales pages. It can design your tweets and your Instagram captions, and it can, literally, there's nothing that this thing can't do. So again, this is how we would use it. So this is you can clearly see I've done like other searches over here on the left. I like to go into dark mode. But so I could, like I was saying, that example I gave earlier is food storage and preservation for prepping and survival. So I can come on here and say, what are 20 blog articles I could write related to food storage and preservation as it relates to prepping and survival? So this is literally going to give me 20 articles that I could write, and by the way, we are not even going to write them. So that's if you're worried about that too, I should probably mention that. And you're like, oh, I can't write 20 articles. Like, how am I going to write 20 articles? Don't worry, we're going to get to that. One of the ways that you can have your articles written for you is going to be using this tool, or at least an outline. Personally, I don't like to use these tools to write my complete article, but I do like to use them to create drafts for me. And so we are going to use this tool along with another tool that we're going to get into to create drafts for us. And then we'll kind of like go in and add what I call the fluff. We'll add the human aspect to it. We'll add our personal experience, your personal knowledge, blah, blah, blah. But so here we go. Just in a matter of seconds, it wrote me 20 blog title articles that I can use. And that's it. I mean, that is how powerful this tool is. Same thing, like I said, I asked it the other day, what are 20 sub-niches of the survival skills prepping and bushcraft niche? So again, emergency preparedness, I chose that one. Food storage and preservation, I chose that one. Water purification and collection, fire starting. And then I can literally come in here, and again, same thing, I could also ask like the most common questions, right? What are the 20 most common questions? What are the 20 most common questions asked about the prepping and survival niche? And again, here's another 20 options of content that I can create. And then not only of these 20 options, I can then go into sub options or subcategories or sub questions about these, right? So like the first one, what is prepping and why is it important? Great, I can write a whole article about that. Then I could say, what is food storage and preparation, why is it important? What is water purification and storage? Why is it important? What is disaster preparedness and why is it important, right? So I can literally take these questions, replace certain words, and next thing you know, I can take this one question and turn it into 10 questions, 15 questions, 20 questions, all that can be their own individual pieces of content. I hope you found this video helpful and you're enjoying the rest of the course content. Links for all of the tools, platforms, and resources mentioned in this video can be found below. Additionally, if you have any questions or need further guidance, feel free to leave your questions or comments in the comment section or reach out in our free membership community. You can also find additional free training and other valuable resources at xylarcade.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.